Hey guys, welcome into the Starcastic Marks Studios. My name is Ryan, and this is Starcastic Marks. We are the Dallas Stars podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network. This is the after game review for game number 68 against the Seattle Kraken. Stars lose tonight by a final score of 4-1, although the game for the most part tonight was 1-0. So let's just go ahead and get right into this game, and let's invite James back in. He's back again tonight. It's your second one in a row, James. That's weird
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. These East Coast or West Coast games are letting me get in on a little bit more of the podcast, so that's nice.
Oh, well, these West Coast games have been kicking my butt. It's
Oh no, they're
been,
perfect for me. This is
yeah,
like
they're
prime
perfect
time
for
for
you.
me.
They're terrible for me. I hate them. So Stars do lose tonight, James. What's your thoughts coming out of tonight's game, just originally after today's game?
Just sad. Just not upset. Just disappointed. That's all.
Yeah, this is a game that I really thought we could win on the second night of a back to back. Especially against this team. This is one of the worst teams in the NHL. They've had a really rough season. They've traded off basically all of their big players. Giordano got traded along with many others from the Seattle Kraken. So they were very clearly sellers at the trade deadline, but they've got like a stockpile of draft picks along with Arizona over the next, 2, 3, 4 seasons. So we will see how that all turns out for the Seattle Kraken. But tonight they had the better of the scoring chances. They were the better team for the most part. And my original thoughts coming out of tonight's game was just that the Stars just didn't have energy tonight. They were on the fourth game on the West Coast, so they're 2 hours ahead of what they're used to. Their body clocks are used to. They've been traveling a whole lot the past month and a half or two, and now, after this game, the Stars get to go home for the majority of the rest of the season. 10 of the next 14 are going to be at American Airlines Center. So that's some good news coming in for the Stars, or bad news, because
Yeah, that's true.
technically the Stars have been really good on the road. The past 20 games, I believe they're 14-5-1, including the loss tonight. So, yes, I'm a little frustrated that they didn't get the win tonight, but I also understand the circumstances behind it and just what with how they've been playing. I really can't complain too much, even though it is the Seattle Kraken. What do you think? Yeah.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I agree with you. We the way we end up losing is really hard to swallow too, but we'll get into it.
Yeah. All right. So before we get into game summary tonight, who are your biggest winners and biggest losers out of tonight's games? Tonight's game, James. Sorry.
All right. So biggest winner, I'm gonna go with Hanley because I don't know. I just like the way he played tonight. He just played solid. He's not a flashy player, and the one goal we ended up getting in the 4-on-4 really was he manifested a lot on that play. So obviously not the wicked shot, but like he held the defensive end and got the puck to lay it out to him. So he played really well tonight. And for my biggest loser, I'm gonna go. I don't know exactly what I wanted to go with, but I'm gonna go with the Stars' old age because we really are. We're like, I think we're the second oldest team in the league, and it can't help when we're playing these games and then we end up losing two defensemen, and it has to be rough for a game like this. I mean, you're talking it's the third game in 4 nights, fourth game in 6. And honestly, it's not going to slow down either is the worst part, but hopefully this really isn't a sign of what's to come for the rest of the season.
My biggest winner tonight has to be Jake Ottinger, because Jake Ottinger was good tonight. like he almost always is. He's been so stinking consistent. It's ridiculous. And especially in that second period, he kept the Stars together. He kept the Stars team in the game and gave them a chance to win. And there was a little bit of pushback from the Stars there in the third, but it just wasn't enough. And then my biggest loser tonight actually goes to, I guess you could say, old age, but specifically Ryan Suter. So Ryan Suter was just not good tonight, and he was very
You know,
frustrating to watch. And there was about 3 or 4 instances, and we'll get into it in my game summary, that I noticed him, out of position or turning the puck over or anything like that. So, and I'll get to that when we get to it. But anyways, do you just want to go ahead and get straight into this game summary?
yeah, let's just get into it.
Yep. Let's try to make this a little shorter tonight than we did last night, right?
Goodness.
Yeah, we were.
I didn't
That
realize
was
we were
almost an
going
hour.
that long.
Yeah, I didn't either.
We
But
just kept going.
so, anyways, beginning of the game, some lineup changes for the Stars, and some,
Mm,
right before,
Yikes.
during warmups. Hockenpah took a puck to the face during warmup, so Andre Sekera comes in for Hockenpah. Radulov is out, which I was surprised that he
I
did
was
that.
surprised at that too, actually, because I thought he played really well last night as well. So
Hmm. And they put Kiviranta in for Alexander Radulov, and then Otter gets to start tonight as well. So 3 lineup changes for the Stars tonight, including all of that stuff. So starting right off at the beginning of the first period, you just knew that Stars had no energy. That
from
had legit no energy, and it was very obvious right off the bat. About 2 minutes in, the Seattle Kraken were forcing the Stars to stay in their own zone for majority of the first 2 minutes. The Stars would get the first power play of the game. About 22 seconds later, it was a Seattle tripping call, and we are 11th in the league in power play right now.
well,
And then what ended up happening throughout the game is, especially in the first 2 power plays that the Stars had, you wouldn't think that the Stars were on the power play because of the way that the Kraken were playing. In the first two periods on the 2 power plays the Stars had, they were outshot on the power play 6-0 by the Seattle Kraken. And right off the bat, Alexiak had some fancy stick moves there. But then Jared McCann was not picked up. Suter, that's the first time I mentioned his name. Suter was not paying attention, and he probably should have picked him up. It was McCann all by himself. He's their leading point getter, and it's a shorthanded goal to put Seattle up 1-0 right early in the first period. Not a good start for the Dallas Stars.
yeah, no, not at all. And really, you felt it from puck drop. Like the game started, and we were instantly slower than they were. So really, it felt like we didn't stand a chance at all for a majority of this game, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And then I literally wrote power play was absolutely terrible. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
and
not a better word for it. Maybe abysmal was okay. So Ardell actually said that the power play was abysmal, and it makes me sad. Yeah,
yeah,
it
we
100% right.
we moved from, I think the broadcast said we were 4th in the league in power play before the All-Star break, I think, right? And
And we've dropped 7
after
spots.
the break, we are ranked 26th after the break for power plays. So
Wow.
we've literally jumped off a cliff, fell into the water, and kept swimming down. So
There's a hole deeper down there somewhere.
yeah, there it keeps going. And some teams are worse than us somehow. So okay.
I don't know. Well, the Seattle Kraken are one of those teams.
Yeah, someone's got to explain that to me.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, Pavelski would have a chance in the high slot. It was saved. 11 seconds later, 15 minutes remaining in the first. Cole Lind with a chance for Seattle. Good stops for both goalies on both of those chances. So good save on Pavelski, good save on Lind. And 12-10 remaining in the first. There was a very good D-zone play by Sekera out of the zones. And again, me trying to point out more of this stuff recently. when it comes to defensive play for the Stars. A minute, 10 seconds later, 11 minutes remaining, Raffle would have a backhand shot wide. 10 and a half remaining. Suter would turn the puck over at the blue line, and it was a good save by Otter, and it was Seattle who forced that turnover. And then at 9 minutes, I wrote, the Stars are playing like a team who played last night. They need to minimize the damage, and Otter's got to be good throughout the rest of the game. And they did that for the most part until the third period. 7:50 remaining. Hintz to Harley. Hintz would have a good pass to Harley, but Harley would not be able to put it away. It was a really good save by Drieger, who, if you're looking for another winner in tonight's game, Chris Drieger was very good. And the Kraken haven't really gotten that a lot from their goaltending this year. So good for the Seattle Kraken to get that. 6.5 remaining. I wrote down shots of 4-4, just dead even. So it really felt like the Seattle Kraken was controlling this game for the most part. So I was a little surprised to see that the shots were actually equal up to that point, which is why I wrote it down. 5.5 remaining. 4-on-2 odd man rush for Seattle. That we got lucky. There was no shot off of that 4-on-2. And then 30 seconds later, there's a really big hit by Garionov, who would kind of set the tone for the physicality in this game. And then 4 minutes and 35 seconds later, Hintz, looks up to the rafters, and he doesn't understand how he misses it. He gets a prime scoring chance, and he shoots high and wide, and it goes out of play.
Yeah, looking to the rafters in this game seemed to be kind of a trend. So, unfortunately.
Yep. And then 2 minutes remaining, there was a shot off the face-off win for Seattle, and it was Daniel Sprong was the one who took the shot, and Daniel Sprong would have multiple opportunities in tonight's game, and he did not take advantage of any of the opportunities that he got. So it would go into the first period with the Stars only down 1-0, when I honestly thought they should have been down even more. So what did you think of the overall play of the first period by the Dallas Stars?
I mean, obviously concerning for the first part. Like, there's no offensive scoring, and there's not a lot of defensive play either. And Otter just kind of saved what we couldn't hold in. He just outskated us, outworked us in the whole period. So.
Yeah, you may need to change your mic again, James. It's starting to do that little buzzing thing again.
All right.
So, all right. Well, while he's getting that fixed, let's go ahead and start talking about the second period here. The second period, it was a even worse period than the first for the Dallas Stars. In the first period, the Stars were at least playing in defense, and they were kind of hanging around in the game. And they kind of did the same in the second, but there was much more chances for the Seattle Kraken in the second period, and Otter was just keeping the Stars in the game at this point. So 1 minute into the second period, again, Cole Lind, who shows up on my notes several times in tonight's game. He had a really good game for the Seattle Kraken. He misses barely after a Klingberg turnover, and it was actually deflected by Yanni Gourde. So Yanni Gourde would show up on my list a couple of times here tonight as well. 17:58 remaining. There was a 3-on-2 for Seattle. There was a good save by Otter, and it was a good shot by Coleman. There was a speed chance for Hintz that forces Drieger to smother the puck, so it was a really good play by Hintz, who also had a pretty good game here tonight, despite being really, really tired. 20 seconds later, Klingberg would have another turnover that would lead to a decent Seattle chance. So that's 2 turnovers by Klingberg within the first 5 minutes of the second period, who would do that again. And then 13:47 remaining in the second period. Donskoy, who was formerly of the Colorado Avalanche, but he was taken in the expansion draft by Seattle, he would get a 2-on-1 opportunity, and I couldn't tell if it was Oliver who made the save or if it was Sekera who got in there and made the defensive play, but either way, somehow it stays out. And for the duration of that next 2 minutes, Seattle was just pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing. And they were really trying to get that second goal, but so far the Stars were surviving. So I was thinking at this point, the Stars are not playing all that well. They're hanging around in the game, and I was thinking, maybe if they can just get their legs under them, then they can really start pushing and trying to get a goal and, kind of steal a win. They should be stealing a win from Seattle, but that was the way that it would be at this point. And then 10:45 remaining in the second period. The shots were 13-8 Seattle. So Seattle really starting to ramp up the pressure here in the second period. 10 minutes remaining. Yanni Gourde would get a slot shot from Lind. And so there's those two guys again that I'm talking about. But somehow Otter was able to keep it out, and it was a really bad turnover for the Stars, and it actually ended up hitting the crossbar. So there were multiple chances in tonight's game by Yanni Gourde and by Cole Lind and by Daniel Sprong. So, easily in the second period, the Stars could have been down 3-0, 4-0. And maybe this game could have been worse than we thought going into the second intermission. But nonetheless, it wasn't. So with nothing really happening offensively for the Stars, Rick Bowness decides to throw his lines into a blender a little bit. And what I noticed, and maybe he did it before then, but I didn't notice it until the 8:20 mark of the second period, that Saganbin and Gary Onoff were together on a line. And that line would continue to stay together throughout the game. So they were out there for an ozone draw, and that was the first time that I saw that. Was a little more than halfway through the second period. About a minute later, Robo and Paz would both have a chance in front. It was like the first chances that the Stars had all game, really. Like actually decent chances that they would have all game. And it was two great saves by Drieger, and specifically on the second one on Pavelski, because Pavelski nearly had a goal there. And it was a really good save by Drieger, who got that pad out there. And then the Stars would eventually go on the power play for the second time, and it was a big chance to get even. and then Seattle looked better offensively on the Stars power play. So just more concern for Dallas Stars fans when it comes to the Dallas Stars power play. Is that just a one-off game like it is tonight, or is this something that has been progressively getting worse, and that's something that we should be worried about, James? What do you think?
It's progressively getting worse, and it's something that we should worry about. That's it. I don't know what they're doing wrong. I don't know how to fix it. We should be worried about it, though.
The one thing I would be worried about the most is just the lack of energy to go get the puck when they do dump it into the zone. So,
and I think for tonight, that is partially from playing a game last night and playing a hard game against Anaheim the night previous. It's a whole combination for this road trip, but it is a trend that we see in the power play for the past month or two as well.
And I think a really easy way to fix this, honestly, is to do kind of a half and half when it comes to the dump and then, pulling it into the zone. I'm starting to see this more, not just from the Stars, but from other teams as well. What they'll do is they'll carry it into the zone about, a third of the way into the offensive zone and then dump it around. And it seems to work more effectively. And I've seen the Stars do that over the course of the past couple of weeks, and I think it works better than them just dumping it in and not really going after it. Because whenever they dump it in, they don't really go after it. Whether it's, they're on, on the power play, or whether they're 6-on-5 or whatever. So that's just what I'm hoping to see from the Stars on the power play is like a mixture between the two of carry the puck in and a dump around. So it's kind of like a half and half. But I'd love to see that more. And then I wrote three things right after this. After the Stars would go on the power play for the second time. Another Seattle shorthanded chance. Good save by Otter. Seattle has had better opportunities on Dallas Stars power plays than Dallas has had. And I mean, they didn't even have a shot on the first two power plays. Obviously, Seattle would kill the power play for the Stars, and then I just put, don't go on the power play tonight, Stars. No more. Yeah. Just don't do it, because obviously they're more deadly on the penalty kill than they were 5-on-5, like the Kraken were, and it was ridiculous. So I put laugh out loud because I was like, this is stupid. There's no way. Most of their good chances, their best chances, were coming shorthanded. So I just didn't understand that. And then 5 minutes remaining in the second period, you could easily see how badly the Stars were being outplayed. It was 21-12 in shots in favor of Seattle. So Seattle really pressing and really trying to get that second goal. And then I wrote most of the period is in the Stars D zone. 3:43. Ryan Suter would take a shot from the point. Kiwi with a decent rebound chance, but still it was in the belly button of Drieger. And again, that Sags, Ben, and Gary line was out there again, 3.5 minutes remaining. And I was thinking at that point, that line's probably going to stick together for the rest of the game. There was another good save by Otter on Cole Lind again with about 2 minutes remaining. And then I kind of put this towards the end of the second period. The Stars are getting some good ozone pressure finally here at the end of the second period. So, but I thought it's probably going to be too late. I didn't think one goal was going to be enough for Seattle to win the game, and I was right. And after the buzzer rang in the second period, I wrote, Otter has kept Dallas in this game, and it's only 1-0 through the 2 periods. So the only thing that has gone good for the Stars is the fact that Otter played really well, and he kept them in the game. So through 2 periods, James, what did you think of the Stars play?
For a back-to-back game, we were still in the game 2 periods through, and we gave ourselves the chance to be able to get something out of this game.
Jake Ottinger gave us the chance. I didn't think anybody else was really doing much.
Yeah, but like we had the chance to get points in this game after 2 periods, which all things considered, I thought was not awful. The way we played was awful. The game was pretty awful. It wasn't a very fun game to watch or listen to, but I mean, we had a chance at least. So that's all I can say about it. Like there's nothing good that we did, and Seattle didn't execute on the things that we did badly. So, I mean, other teams obviously will. That's all I got.
Yeah, right. No, all that's all good analysis. It's all true.
Yeah, the game was just like it was so meh for so much of it, and like this is an absolute disaster from a purely entertainment value. Like, goodness.
And at least from an entertainment value, the game would get better here in the third period. So here in the third period, it was very obvious that the Stars found some sort of energy to start the period. Right off the bat, Gary would have a chance in the slot a minute in, and then I wrote both teams with a bit more energy to start the period. I mean, even Seattle. Like, Seattle looked like they had a little bit more energy even than they did in the second period. Then I wrote Glendening with a chance, and then I again wrote Suter with a really rough game. Suter with a really, really, really rough game. And that's not something that I'm used to writing or saying about Ryan Suter. And, some of the people that are saying, oh, well, we shouldn't have given him a 4-year contract and stuff like that. Yeah, you're probably right. It was probably an overpayment, but we're really paying him for this year and next year more than anything. And he doesn't need to come out of the lineup or get scratched or anything like that. Especially with Yanni Hakanpää and Esa Lindell being out.
Yeah, and so that's really what I think the end of this road trip did to us. It's we lost Lindell for these last couple of games, and then we lost Hakanpää for this game too. And you can tell that Suter and Heiskanen were both really tired. I mean, they still only Suter played like 22 minutes. Heiskanen played 26, which is insane. But like we're missing 2 other defensemen that are just constantly there and solid and don't really make mistakes that often. And I really think Lindell not being there for the past couple of games really came back to bite us on this one. Because the whole game I'm thinking like, man, our defense is looking so rough compared to normal. And again, I think almost any other team, I mean, the main problem Seattle has is that they can't score. they can't score and they don't get goaltending normally. Their defense stats wise are
pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's
advanced
pretty good.
Advanced stats wise, we should say.
Advanced stats. Yeah, but it's really their scoring that's the problem, and that was apparent in tonight's game too. They had one goal through 2 periods on a team that looked like they were gassed the entire game, and were constantly turning over the puck and constantly getting forechecked and burping pucks up, and couldn't get back check on hardly any play. Mm-hmm. It was especially obvious in the third period.
So after a pretty boring first and second period, the third period was at least more fun to watch. There were chances going both ways. The Stars were actually doing really good, getting really good chances, as were the Seattle Kraken. They were getting better chances in the third than they were in the second, and they had a really good second period.
And again, I think that's because we were tired and we could not back check at all in the third period. There was no chance anyone was getting back there. They were all gassed.
So Drieger would rob Heiskanen with the glove with about 4 minutes into the third period. And then literally right after that, the shot in the dark, Seattle would make it 2-0 from Ryan Donato, who outweights Otter. And it was just a great stretch pass by Soucy, the defenseman for the Kraken. And there was nothing Otter could do on that. It was him against Ryan Donato, and it was like a semi breakaway. He kind of was all by himself.
He was not by himself, and then he was. So again, we didn't have the legs tonight to catch up to anyone. I mean, even Alexiak, they're a fast team, but they're not fast enough to beat us on every single break every single time, and that's what happened tonight. I mean, constant rushes against us, and especially in the third period, as I was saying, we couldn't get back to our net, and once that second goal for them finally went in, that was pretty much it. It felt like there was no chance we had in this game anymore. It's unlikely that we were going to score 2 goals in this game, seeing just how we played the first 2 periods, and it was really a prayer to even ask for the 1 goal.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, let's make our way towards the 1 goal we scored tonight, shall we? 12:51 remaining. I wrote, Stars have had more chances here in the third than they did in the previous 2 periods combined, and that was only 7 minutes into the third period at this point. So they had multiple chances. 20 seconds later, I wrote, Drieger standing on his head with multiple chances for the Stars, and the line out there for the Stars was the first line. So the first line was getting chances tonight. They just couldn't bury anything past Drieger. And Pavelski would hit the post again. So Pavelski with a post there in the third period. 10 minutes halfway through the third period, somehow it stays out of the Stars' net after an extended ozone time for Seattle. So it was at least exciting in the third period to watch and, get more excitement out of this from an entertainment perspective. 2 minutes later, there was a rush chance for the first line, and Hintz was in front, but nothing would come of it. And then Alexiak would take a hooking penalty, and it would be the third Stars power play, and I wrote, uh-oh. I shouldn't be saying uh-oh for this.
I said, I don't want to be on the power play.
Yeah, the text. You texted me and said, can we just default? Can we just not do it?
No power plays. And someone agreed with us.
Mm-hmm.
Someone on the ice.
Yeah, someone on the ice did. Well, 20 seconds later, it wouldn't mean anything because Robo would take an interference penalty, which would negate that Stars power play.
It was slashing, not interference. That's really just fatigue.
1/2 a dozen the other.
Robertson,
whatever.
Really, like you see where I don't even think he meant to hit him with the stick. He just dropped his stick while it was up in the air, and it came right down on top of him, and then his stick just falls out. And Robo's just like, okay, well, whoops.
Oh, I guess it is what it is. So,
well, at least they can't score shorthanded anymore.
Right, that's what I was thinking. I was like, yay, we're not on power play.
And and ironically enough, they prove us right even more.
Right. And the proving right even more is a 4-on-4 goal by Hanley, actually.
It
Hanley,
still says
the tip.
Klinger right now, but I'm pretty sure Hanley tipped it in front.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and look at that. But
He
it was a,
celebrated like he tipped it in front, even if
yeah.
NHL doesn't give it to him. We'll give it to him, you know?
Well, it was a Klingberg wrister. It was a crossbar and down. So it goes in the
Oh my
net.
goodness,
It
what
was,
vintage walk to the center of the ice for Klinger.
yeah,
That was sick.
he looked like old Klingberg there. And then I wrote Hanley goal actually question mark. So either way, it doesn't matter. Either it's Hanley that gets the goal or Klingberg gets the goal.
And
It's 2-1, and the Stars have at least a little bit of life here.
yeah, and I thought that 4-on-4 shift for Hanley was like the best shift he has ever played as a Dallas Stars, because he's sitting in the defensive zone. He's sitting in front of our net, waiting for Seattle to just rim it around the boards, and then he sees it happen and he goes and cuts it off and passes it straight to Klinger. He's like, I don't need the puck. He does. And he does that, and he just skates it down, and then they do a little cycle down in the Seattle zone, and then Hanley just decides, hey, I'm gonna go skate in front of the net.
As
and
a
Klinger's
defenseman.
like, oh, I'm gonna shoot it now.
And it happens to work out for the Stars. So either way, it's a defenseman goal for the Stars.
Yeah, that was a beautiful shift from Hanley there. That's not what we expect from him. We expect him
Hanley.
to be. Yeah, I mean, it's really nice to see, but like we expect him to really be he slots in as the seventh defenseman. He's a super, super solid seventh defenseman, in my opinion. So,
Agreed. So after it would go back to 5-on-5, there were several breakaways that would happen for the Seattle Kraken. First, it was Sprong, and Otter didn't have to do much on it. Sprong kind of deked himself out, and he had too many stick handling plays. And then there was a really good play by Miro that leads to a rush chance shot by Petey. And I thought at that point,
I thought
Miro
Petey was
had
going to
that play,
sink it and tie it up.
Yeah, and it was very close.
And he almost did. He got freaking robbed on that. Goaltender got just enough of that to go just barely over the net. Oh my goodness, that was probably the craziest save of the night, because that goes in. The game's tied. It probably goes to overtime. And you know how good the Stars are in overtime. So
right. Exactly. Unfortunately, it would not happen. And of course,
it's a hope and a prayer from us. Like,
right. Yeah.
To even be close in this game was ridiculous.
Yes. And what would really put the nail in the coffin for the Dallas Stars is a Yanni Gourde breakaway. It was a perfect shot. It was under the blocker, over the pad, and he scores on Otter, and it makes Seattle go up 3-1 with 2.5 minutes remaining.
Yeah.
Stars would pull the goalie about a minute later. They'd call a timeout, and then you know how we are with the Stars when it comes to 6-on-5. I still don't understand how bad they are this year.
We're bad. We probably would be better off just doing 5-on-5 for the rest of the game, honestly. Like, right. That's how bad we are on 6-on-5. But really,
basically an automatic free goal for the whoever our opponent is.
Definitely. And really, what the third period boiled down to for me was that we just got tired and we couldn't back check anymore. They get 2 breakaway goals in the period. That is not normal for the Stars. That never happens. Not really. It takes Sekera trying to bat the puck out of midair and missing it for that to happen. Like, they were tired, and that's basically why I chopped down the third period to be.
And I thought about this too throughout the third period, but I was like, I think they're doing it on purpose. I think they were pressing for the goal,
Oh, no,
and
they definitely were.
They were just like, you know what, screw it. If something happens, something happens. We just need to get a goal here, and that needs to be our main focus here. So the defensive side of the game kind of went away here, especially in the second half of the third period.
But it's not like we don't do that for other games either. We just can back check on the other games still. We didn't have anything
have the legs
left.
for it.
We had nothing left to back check. We were spending it all in the offensive zone. And if it's a Hail Mary play is what it was. We just completely Hail Maried the third period and prayed that Otter could hold on.
Well, they wouldn't be able to do so. Kuhlman would score the empty net goal to make it 4-1, and it was the 15th empty net goal the Stars have given up this season, and they're one of the worst teams when it comes to 6-on-5 play like this. And it's the game ends with a final score of 4-1, and I mean you can't win every single one of these games when it comes to this, but especially when it's against a team that you really probably should beat, even though you're tired. It's the fourth game in 6 nights, but I'm not mad.
I'm not mad. I'm a little bit frustrated, that's for sure, but it's honestly not the Stars' fault. I'm frustrated because in the standings, if we win this game, we jump both Vegas and Nashville, and we haven't been above Nashville in the standings. I think we were above them. I think we were above them for like one game, and they took it back instantly. But like, it feels like anytime we get close to Nashville, we just end up losing. That's probably more a personal thing more than anything. I just hate Nashville. I hate being below them.
The P-Cats.
I hate those guys. I hate losing to them too. I hate it every single time. I hate it.
Well, let's take a look at the standings, why don't we, James, here tonight before we close this out. So currently the Stars are outside of the playoffs, okay? But again, we have to also look at the fact that the Stars have 3 games in hand on the Vegas Golden Knights, who have 82 points, and they've played 71 games. The Stars have played 68, and they have 81 points. So the Stars still have, a good chance and almost definitely should make the playoffs if they keep their destiny in their own hands. So, I mean, right now, Vegas is completely at our discretion right now. I mean, we have to lose in order for Vegas to make it the playoffs, assuming Nashville does not go down, which really, I mean, right now it looks like they might.
Yeah, it really is right now. It's our spot to lose. Like, as much as Vegas fans, I'm sure, like to believe that they own that spot, they really don't right now. They have to either completely win out, which would be absolutely insane, or just hope that the Stars start losing, which we tend to do,
Nashville,
honestly.
At this point. Or Nashville at this point, because Nashville is only 1 point ahead of us.
Like all these teams are almost no one in the West is safe. Like the top 2 in each division are pretty safe. Like they're probably going to make the playoffs, but like Edmonton, St. Louis, they're not out. They're not like secure at all in a playoff spot right now. Any of the 5 of us, like you're talking one of Dallas, Vegas, Nashville, Edmonton, or the Blues miss the playoffs. That's pretty much what we're looking at right now. One of those teams is going to miss the playoffs.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna say St. Louis, you also have to put Los Angeles in there because they've got 86 points as well.
That's true.
So, but I don't agree with that, to be totally honest with you, James. I think it's more solidified now than it was a week ago. So like a week ago, we were looking at possibly, Winnipeg maybe catching us, maybe even Vancouver.
But you're talking if you go 500 or 400 in this last stretch, if everyone else is still winning at like the 600 point percentage that people are winning at right now, you're not going to make it. Like you're just barely going to miss it.
Well, I don't agree with that because I think the teams that are below us, it's even less likely that it happens.
That's
is
fair,
it possible?
Like,
yes, and really, what I think it's coming down to right now, it's a 3-team. There's 3 teams for those 2 wildcard spots at this point, and it's Nashville, it's Vegas, and it's Dallas. I think the top 6 in the division are kind of already solidified in the Pacific and the Central. I mean, could we catch Seattle or St. Louis? It's possible. I don't see it though. So
I
I
can
think it's
definitely
really a 3-team race for these last 2 wildcard spots.
with how easy the end of our schedule should be. I think it's very possible that we can show them this, and it just takes. I haven't looked at the other schedules for these other teams, but it just takes one of them to have a hard schedule to just end up out of the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. Like if you haven't played the top teams yet, you don't have most of those games out of the way, then you can very easily still drop out.
Yeah. However, let's get into one thing that that Ardell is really wanting me to get into, because he thinks that Gurionov had a really bad game here tonight. So let's just go ahead and get into this. And let me just pull up one of his comments about this. Let's see this one. Gurionov, 17 minutes total time on ice, 1 shot on goal, 1 hit, and a -2. Did you think Gurionov had a rough game tonight, just in general, or do you think
I
it
don't
was
think
just
Gurionov played good last night either, honestly. Like when I heard that Radulov was scratched and Gurry was still in the lineup, I was kind of surprised, honestly, because Radulov played better than Gurionov last night. I don't think that's debatable.
And I didn't think that he was necessarily like terrible.
I don't think he's
But
playing terrible, but he's not playing
He's
good.
not playing. Yeah, he's not playing.
He's a
what we
glorified
expect him to play.
fourth liner, essentially. He's like he doesn't really do that much.
Right. He's a guy that has potential to have, to be in the top 6, but he's not fulfilling that top 6 role at all. And
Not
we haven't
even
really,
remotely.
yeah, not even close. And this is another question he has. Maybe a playmaker would help 34. I don't have one other than Robo. I don't even think
that though.
Yeah, I don't even think Robo is a good option for Gurionov, because Robo is the one that normally puts the puck in the net. So I mean, I don't know what the solution is here for Gurionov.
Like the problem is, like he's played with the better players on our team. Like he's played with the Sagans, the Bens. It's not like he's not playing with the better players on our team, which is why we're seeing Peterson get more of those opportunities now. Peterson had been playing on that third line for the longest time, and he's scoring at the same pace Gurry is.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem to matter who Peterson is set up with. He just kind of finds a way to just trickle in the goals one after another.
And almost did it again tonight.
Yeah. And again, I really think he should have. He got completely stoned on that one, honestly. Like that was crazy. I still can't believe that didn't go in. I thought it went in. Oh
yeah,
man.
It probably would have gone in if Drieger hadn't gotten like a little bit of the shoulder on the puck. So it was really unfortunate that that didn't go in, because I mean, we could be looking at a 2-2 game and then go into overtime or shootout, or maybe even the Stars winning it in regulation. But that would not be the case here in tonight's game. So I think we're done, James. You got anything else we need to mention?
Nope. I think that's it.
Yep. Chris is safely in North Carolina now, so he's gotten to the Disc Golf Nationals. So wish him luck for Texas A&M as he plays for his school. It's really cool that he's able to do that. So good luck to him. I forgot to do this at the beginning of the show, but thank you, DraftKings, for being our sponsor for our podcast, and also for the entire Hockey Podcast Network. Go and use the promo code THPN the next time you go and use their app. I'm going to be happy to get back to regular times and not dead late times like this. I know you can't do
unfortunately, that means less of me, so I guess everyone will just have to cry.
Yep. And I may be by myself on Tuesday. We'll have to see. But anyways, guys, along with James, I'm Ryan. This has been the after game review for Game 68 against the Seattle Kraken. Stars do lose. The final score tonight, 4-1. Please go and check out our merch shop, starcastermarkshop.com for the first phase of our merch option. It's really cool stuff on there, and that's how you can most effectively, support our podcast. We'd appreciate your support there. And then I guess we'll catch you guys on the flip side. You guys have a good evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you're listening. Have a good evening.